Grace and peace to you. Friends, hello. How are you? It's good to see you. Are you a fan of magic? I know you might be. I know you might not be. I know you might lie somewhere in the middle. And all of that, of course, is okay. I have a slightly strange feeling towards magic. I like it when we see tricks that are silly and people are baffled. I don't like it when people are made to look silly by things that are fancy. And also, I don't suppose it's fair to ask you about magic without attempting to do some. Sadly, some of you may have seen this before. But anyway, let me show you. Here is a cardboard bag. You can see it, and it contains a straw. Now let me see if I can get this right. And for those listening rather than watching, just imagine the best magic show you've ever seen. Oh, goodness. You see the straw? Oh, a giant straw coming out of a paper bag. I told you this was silly. Oh, anyway, magic is completely silly. Oh, goodness me. Look at that. Magic's silly. Have you ever seen the trick where someone steps through a postcard? Maybe isn't magic, but a rather clever bit of thinking. You know the one where someone has scissors and they have the postcard in it? Hang on, let me show you a video of it. You see, it's not magic at all, but just someone really clever. They managed to extend the perimeter of the postcard to a point that they could walk through the middle of it. Our reading today isn't about Jesus doing a magic trick. It's about something entirely more impressive. Last week, we had a reading where Jesus said that he came to bring good news to the poor, the oppressed, people restricted by circumstance, and everyone else. Everyone is important and valued and loved for who they are. And today's reading follows on from that. So let's hear that reading, and then we'll figure out what on earth it has to do with what I've been talking about. Our reading is from Luke chapter 4, reading from verse 21. Jesus began by saying to them, "Today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." All spoke well of him and were amazed at the gracious words that came from his lips. "Isn't this Joseph's son?" they asked. Jesus said to them, "Surely you will quote this proverb to me, 'Physician, heal yourself.' And you'll tell me, 'Do here in your hometown what we've heard you did in Capernaum.' Truly I tell you," he continued, "no prophet is accepted in his hometown. I assure you that were many widows in Israel in Elijah's time, when the sky was shut off for 3.5 years, and there was severe famine throughout the land. Yet Elijah was not sent to any of them, but to a widow in Zarephath, and in the region of Sidon. And there were many in Israel with leprosy in the time of Elisha. Yet none of them was cleansed, only Naaman the Syrian." All the people in the synagogue were furious when they heard this. They got up, drove him out of the town, and took him to the brow of the hill on which the town was built, in order to throw him off the cliff. But he walked right through the crowd and went on his way. As I said, that was nothing to do with magic. What's happened here in the reading is that Jesus has said all that he said prior to this about good news to the poor, and is saying that it's not just for those who say the right thing or were born in a certain place. Jesus gave examples from the prophets Elijah and Elisha, where they reached out beyond what was expected to those on the margins, and those even well beyond that. Jesus speaks about God's love, the good news being bigger than we might like to think it is. And after this, Jesus is run out of town, not just talked down at a meeting, but run out of town as they're trying to murder him. This is Jesus, the troublemaker, the stirrer, and tells us about God and how we are to interact with the world. It tells us through Christ that God is willing to shake things up and expedite change, especially when that change brings more inclusion and acceptance, allows mission to take place, and pushes us to think about where we place our own boundaries and how we might show compassion beyond them. And this is where the magic comes in, or rather not the magic, not the silly straw thing, but the postcard. Very often in life, we like to get our situations and expectations nicely squared off, having who and what we want to interact with set in a nice little box. However, the silly thing with the postcard shows us that whatever our preconceived ideas, the boundaries can always be pushed and stretched. And at the same time with God, it's the same where the good news must reach. This isn't just hypothetical. We don't just say this and all is well. This is about our physical actions and how we respond. It's about what we say and think about welcoming those who are different to us, and expanding that so we give refuge to all those fleeing persecution and natural disaster. Supporting food banks to feed the hungry and dispelling the notion of only giving to the deserving poor. Jesus is being the stirrer, reminding people that their comfortable status quo is to be stirred up and changed, so they include people beyond who are them, beyond what they would normally do. So we need to take the clever scissors to the boundaries of the postcard of our life, to our acceptance, to our love and to our care, and cut it up and open it up so the whole of us can pass through in love. So go into your week. Show that acceptance, show that love, and show you care far beyond the boundaries that you may have thought bind you.